All right. Mm. Good day. Mm. Anyway, see what happens. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
There we go.
So I'm going to call the meeting. Can everybody hear me? Okay,
Yep.
good. Thank you. Call to order for the Wednesday, September 11th, 2024 meeting of the Woodside Highlands Road Maintenance District Resident Advisory Committee. We have a couple of our board members who are not able to attend. Matt, who has sent us the financial information, and Jorg, who got a last minute work meeting that he couldn't get out of. So I think it's just us chickens. So I'm going to call the call the members for their presence. Tim?
Here.
Jean?
Here.
Bill? I saw Bill Raylick, and Frank. And I see a couple of residents. Hello, how are you all? I hope everything is going well in your world. Is there anybody willing to take minutes of the meeting?
Tim, how about you? I can try, but I'm not very good at it.
Why don't you give it a whirl and I'll give you a hand, okay? Sometimes it's hard to take notes and lead a meeting, so I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so the agenda and handouts were distributed beforehand. Announcements. We have the Woodside Fire Chipper date, October 7th, 2024. That's our opportunity to take big debris and put it in the roadway and stack it up, and they come around. We'll send out a notice shortly before they come around. And I think last time we did this, we were actually too close to the chipper and our road cleanup. So we probably want to do a little bit of a separation this year so that there's a little more debris when we do our road day. So we'll schedule that later on, but I just wanted to highlight that that's just something that we don't schedule, but the fire department does. Any questions about that?
Teresa?
Yes.
In other words, should we wait? We should do road day first and put a bunch of stuff out for them, then they come? Or are you saying do it the other way? Have them come in. I mean, for the big stuff, they only pick up the big stuff stacked. What order?
I would say do the big stuff first and then do the little stuff. Okay. But I could be wrong.
That sounds logical.
We can discuss that when we get down into the agenda. We have to set the date for the fall cleanup. So we have the date for the chipper program and we can work around that.
Sure.
Oral communications for items not on the agenda. Is there anybody who has anything they'd like to bring up?
I do.
Okay, Annalise, go for
it. So I noticed that we're going to be talking about a homeowner had some has a problem and he's come to ask for to offer help and advice, something. But I'm here to talk about the surveys. I'll just hold this up to the camera. There are publicly available surveys for that piece of property. There's just one, but what I suggest is, I know Jean has always been very keen on getting the surveys, so I'm willing to get them and send them to you, but I'm also willing to teach Jean how she herself can get her own copies as a member of the board, so that when you're discussing it with the homeowner, you know where their property begins and the road maintenance district ends. Thank you.
Thank you, Annalise. Klaus and Kristen, you guys had something?
Yeah, we just wanted to follow up. Last meeting, we were out of the country and we listened to the minutes, and there was some discussion on Trinity Lane and about the deepening swale. So we were wondering if we could add that back on to this meeting. There was no mention of it in the minutes, even though there was.
Or we did discuss it, so it may just have been an oversight on the minutes. So we can put that down. Let's put it in the follow-up if you don't mind. There's a follow-up section here with driveways and retaining walls and such. We can put that there.
Okay,
Make sense to you?
sure.
Okay, thanks. Don't let me forget though. Okay. Anybody else with oral communications? Anything not on the agenda? Hi, Bill. Nice to see you. I'll mark you here. Approval of the minutes. The last meeting was June 17th, 2024. They were attached to the agenda. Does anybody have any comments, additions, subtractions to the minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept as submitted?
I'll make the motion. I'll
Okay.
second.
Great. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, finances. I'm going to try something. Matt sent us the financial report, and I'm going to see if I can do the share screen. Let's see if it works. I'm always excited when it does, and I'm always disappointed when it doesn't. So let's see. I have a few screens open. Let's see what we have here. Screen 2. I can't even read them. I think this is up. This is it.
Hey,
Do you see that? Can you see it or not so much?
That's good.
It's good. Okay, so this is the current budget through June 2024. Not very many surprises. A couple of highlights. Total payments to Bay Area Paving were $115,173. Jean, you don't have to write this. I have this in a report, so I'll just send you the report, okay?
Good.
Good, okay. So we made 3 payments to Bay Area Paving, all within this fiscal year. And we budgeted $120,000 plus a 20% contingency. So we were well under our budget for this paving project. So we're going to assume there are no other projects under paving for now. And so we're going to be running under budget for our paving section. Our full dumpsters, we budgeted $1,500 and $2,000 for labor, and that's going to be our next large purchase. We don't have bids yet, but budgets for both are above what we spent last year. And in our agenda, we're going to have to decide if we want to do the gardeners that we did again last. It was spring cleanup. If you remember, they unfortunately had to clean up in the rain, and it was awful. But it was a fixed price, so they did it for what they said it was going to be. So we'll decide if we want to do that again. And then the final piece, which of course you may or may not have been reading about, is that let me see if you can see this whole thing down here. It looks, we have about 300 and some odd $1,000, 338,000. And if you see a number down here that says unaudited 8/12/24 balance, 324,000. So the issue that we have with the town is that the town has, you probably have been reading that their financials have not been audited for several years. And we've been asking for our audited financials, which we seem to be in the same bucket as the whole town. So we've had estimates, but not audited. We think we're in the ballpark, but there could be a surprise. I don't think there's going to be a surprise, but there could be a surprise. We're waiting for the town to finish the audited financials for us to be assured that the number that we're using, whether it's 324 or 338, it's about what we have. And that's about as much as I can say about the finances. For those of you who've been watching what's going on at the town, there's a finance committee that's been actively working with town management to get the finances straightened out. And that's about all I understand about what's going on with that. Any questions? So unbeknownst to me, I thought we had a separate account, and actually our money is kind of pooled with the town. So the fate of the town, so does the fate of Woodside Highlands Road Maintenance District. And at some point, we may want to actually talk about that and what that means, and what, as the town moves forward with better financial systems, what that could mean for us. So I don't have any resolution. I don't have anything, no more information, other than I have some concerns that we will continue to monitor. Any questions about finances? Okay. Paving. Frank, do you want to talk about paving, or do you want us to want me to talk about it?
I can't answer much more than what's obvious, that the paving was done. And I don't think we have very many complaints about things that were left undone and so forth. But in previous meetings, there's been very little.
Right. We had 4 kind of remaining items when we did our walk around with Chris Quinn, and all of the 4 have pretty much been done. The berm that was a big issue for Jean was somewhat repaired, and I say somewhat. And Jean, you may want to talk about this, about what you think we need to do now that we have Bay Area paving out of the picture, whether we want to do something with that particular berm area down on Santa Maria.
Sure. I mean, this is so silly. This is a little like a 2-foot piece of berm. Anyway, these guys just don't seem to understand how water goes. But anyway, nor to take instructions, or maybe they never got instructions. But this has gone on for 2 years now, or 3. All we're asking is for something about like that. And the first thing they did was, instead of making a little berm angling across to get the water to go where we wanted it, they built a 20-foot long berm in the wrong place. 20 feet. So we told them about that, that should come back and do what we originally told them, and had marked on the road in blue chalk and paint and everything. So they came back, left the bad one that they had built 20 feet long, and built a new one that was even worse. So my suggestion is we make them come back.
Was there nobody there watching them?
Hey, listen, I would have been more than happy. I tried 2 or 3 times to meet in person with Chris Quinn. Every single time he didn't show. He would go by himself before we got to meet, and then show up someplace else and say, well, I just looked at it on my way. So no one was with him, because he made that happen. So anyway, we're stuck now with this stupid berm sticking out into the roadway, obstructing traffic. It's absurd. I would like them to just tear out all the work they did, and we can do it ourselves. Because I have a feeling if we do it a 3rd time, it'll be even worse. It'll be easy to do. We don't need those guys. But they do need to take out their crappy work.
Are you talking about the area down there by that, at the first hairpin at the bottom of the hill?
That's pretty crappy too. It's a lumpy thing out in the drivable surface. Same thing up here at the second turn.
Yeah, new berms are fairly easily removed with a sledgehammer, and we've got we can ask Bill about that. But also, we've got this material that we've used in the past it's a concrete and asphalt that we can build small berms with if we need to.
Yeah. Well, so do we ask him for sure? This one up here, it's just absurd. I mean, it's absurd what they did. What about the one on the first curve? What do you think? I'll think of that. I think it obstructs traffic a little bit, but I'm not going to get into that one.
Yeah, so I hit it.
That one's by Cindy and Bart's house.
That's the second curve. The one at the lower drain, that new drain we put in that goes into the fence, the broken down fence.
Yeah.
That one kind of snakes out into the curve, into the drivable surface. I don't think it had to be that big and lumpy, but that's up to you guys.
So which is the one, or are you recommending that we take out both of them?
I'm saying they should take out both up here at the second curve. They did first a 20-footer that we never asked for, and that it's in the way. And then they did like a 2-footer that's done wrong. And I tried, when it was still warm and soft, to break it down, but it was hardening up, and I had a shovel and I ran out of time and stuff. So I smashed it down a little bit, and I have 2 orange cones out there marking it for people to see.
Frank, you were saying that you think this is something that we could take out ourselves. and do our.
Well, if we can get a few of us that like to do these things together and go visit it and look at it, then we can decide. But I can't say because I don't really know exactly what Jean's talking about.
Okay.
Back down to as if they had never come out here, just down to the normal pavement that we had before they ever showed up.
So maybe, Jean, are you willing to walk with whomever would like to walk with you, whether it's Frank or Bill or Tim
Come along.
or anybody who wants to go? Just, put out a note on a day that people are available to go and see what we think. See
Yeah.
what a subcommittee thinks.
If we can get Georg involved, that'd be nice
Sure.
too.
He's in transition right now, so I think in terms of a new job, so he's a little committed, but I'm sure he's very interested. So if we can get on his dance card, that would be good.
Yep.
If you want to take your time to chop up 20 some feet of asphalt, good for you. But whatever we decide, we should decide and get Chris Quinn out here. If we don't want to do it, he better get out here and do it.
My recommendation.
Sound like I'm being mean, but it just seems like either he doesn't communicate with his guys or something, but they just keep doing things wrong.
Well, I think part of the problem is that he didn't follow through with you, and then whoever was there didn't either understand the communication with Chris, or there was a lack of communication. I absolutely agree. The project in the main was good. So this is I think we need to cut him loose and just deal with it ourselves. And if we need to get somebody in here to do a little bit of asphalt work, we can try to find someone else. That would be my recommendation. I personally don't want to go back to him and ask him to do these repairs.
Okay. We can certainly, with a bag, I don't know, a bag of asphalt, we can certainly do it. It's too bad we didn't decide that in the beginning, but of course we didn't. Why would we? But we can do it easily, I think, once their stuff is gone.
Okay, let's do this subcommittee, take a look at it, see what's involved. If it's a couple of bags of asphalt, we can do that without any great capital outlay, and we can go ahead and just get it done. Anybody else have anything they want to say about it? Okay, great. So the other thing that was outstanding with Chris was the bollards to protect the drain at the top of Russell. And he gave us a bid of somewhere like $1,800 to construct some type of bollard system so that people wouldn't be backing into the drain and not only destroying the asphalt, but potentially doing some major damage to the cars. I shared that bid with Cal Water, and they were not willing. Well, first of all, they said that the bollards were not a good idea, and they had some very specific reasons in terms of where the pipes were flowing and how they were configured. And instead, they recommended that we first try some simple painting to see if by just outlining the areas in question, that people would be more careful with where they park and where they drive. And they came up yesterday and painted. So I sent you a picture of them I saw this morning. It wasn't a great picture, but that's their first attempt. And they're willing to work with us to try to figure out how to keep not only their staff, but our residents clear of the drain and clear of the driveway.
Here's a question too about that area.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's illegal to park within 20 feet of a fire hydrant for the obvious reason that the fire truck needs to get there if they need to do it. Mm-hmm. So we constantly have people parking right close to it, and I don't know what we do about it, but or maybe we don't care, but you're not supposed to do that for a good reason.
No, we do care. And in fact, he recommended that we put some additional no parking signs up, and I thought he was talking about the whole area, not just, by the fire hydrant. And so that's on the list of things to consider. But that area up there, the residents are parking everywhere and not not as carefully maybe as they should. So they put a box around the hydrant to clearly delineate that you can't park anywhere near the hydrant, but I don't know about 20 feet. I don't know what the requirement is. Maybe we should look into what the requirement is.
Well, I think that's so they can fit a fire truck off the road so people can escape or whatever
Mm-hmm.
they do. And if you have a fire truck right in the middle of the road because it can't park off the road, say, let's say a fire truck's 20 feet long. I don't know where the 20 feet came from, but it's the law.
Why don't we consult with Woodside Fire and see, you get them to weigh in, and maybe they'll want to mark something off, because we don't have any parking enforcement up here. You know, it's not like something in cities where, you know, they've got parking patrols that will ticket people for illegal parking. I mean, that's not something that goes on up here. So I'd like to hear what they have to say and how they would weigh in.
I would think that they would, they not only know the regulations, but I think they might be able to offer some signage to enforce it. And, you know, if we do see people parking up there, we have, you can always call the sheriff and have him come give a ticket.
Right. Well, we would first have to notify people that that's what we're going to do.
Right.
And then give them where the parking areas are, you know, where they can't park, and maybe put some lines where they can't park between this and this.
Yeah, we do need to make it very clear where you should be parking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
One of the other problems with parking, say, let's say here's the hydrant, cars. Somebody was saying they were watching, a large truck was trying to make that, you know, it's a right angle turn at the top where Santa Maria reaches Russell. Either way is a right angle. And if a big truck tries to turn and there's somebody parked right there in front of them, they can't make the turn either. So it's gonna, you know, we should be able to keep it clear for the fire truck.
It's a dicey area for sure. For sure. Anybody else have any comments about the bollard and the markings and all of that? I'll follow up with the fire department and see whether we can come up with what the regulation is and where that would be, and what type of additional signage and markings we might consider up there, and notification to the residents.
Did you said the water people gave you some specific ideas about why bollards wouldn't work?
Yes.
And
you want to know what they are? I have to go back.
Well, I'm thinking that the ultimate solution is actually to put some kind of a grate that can be driven over in that spot. And maybe they would like to help us with that, understanding what that should be.
That didn't come up in their back and forth. But we can certainly put it on the list as something to consider. Again, the painting was the first foray into, is it going to make the situation better? Anybody else have any comments on that parking area up there? Okay.
No.
So that drain cover was reseeded. That was one of the other completed projects. Gary came out and chiseled out the asphalt that was actually impinging the cover from sitting flatly. Now, what you can see when you walk past it is that the metal plate is not flat. So it actually has some hinges on the bottom, which are now holding on to the rim of the cement box. So it won't flop off as it did, but it's still not a flat metal plate. And that might be something, Bill, do you ever walk past that grate, that metal plate? Would you be willing?
I'm not sure where that is.
Okay, so it's on the corner of Santa Maria and Tynan, on the as you're going up the hill on the left-hand side, the lower left-hand side. So it's across the street from Joey Dornberg's house, and it's on the corner of the new people named Steve Wang. Larry Wang. Sorry,
Larry Wang.
Larry.
Okay.
There's a big mailbox girder structure that holds up the mailboxes in that area. It's just uphill from that.
Okay.
It's a metal plate, and it just doesn't sit flat. And so what happened was, the metal plate was actually cattywampus because some truck went over it, and the hooks underneath it weren't hooked. The hooks are now hooked, but that still doesn't mean that it's going to stop. If some big truck goes over it, it could flop off. And it doesn't sit flat. It's not a completely flat metal plate. So I'm not sure what makes sense. We leave it, watch it, do something with it. I don't know.
Hit it with something big.
Just, yeah, you could turn it upside down and run over it. You could weld in a frame that would fit inside the box that would keep it from coming out.
Okay.
And then it would still just lift off.
Yeah.
But let me look at it and see what brilliant
Okay.
ideas I can come up with.
I think lifting it off is important. The water company uses that when things get clogged up there. Yeah. They're often using that area as well as we use it to make sure that the drain in the street is draining.
Okay.
Okay. So BAP, that was Bay Area Paving, completed projects. We've got the follow-up was the drain cover, Santa Maria berm. We've got a process for that. Bollards, we've talked about that. And the next thing is striping. Frank?
Yeah, we're kind of at a decision point here because for somewhere between 11 and 15,000, we can have the street professionally striped with a plastic layer basically that's glued down to the road and would last for 5 years or more, and perhaps 10. Or we can just stripe it again ourselves with the paint and the little machine we have lying around. But at some point, if we want to have a really good stripe up the road, we need to commit to spending that money to have the professionals come in and do it. And I'm at a loss now to say which way we should go.
Anybody have any feelings one way or another? I know we were talking about waiting until we did some slurry sealing. Is that going to happen, or that was in our paving plan, but I'm not sure that it's happening immediately?
Yeah, unfortunately, the people that were party to that discussion are not on the call with us today. I think Matt and Georg had strong opinions about it. My personal belief is that we don't need to do slurry sealing, that you just put something down that wears off after a while. I don't know, maybe Bill has some thoughts.
A half dozen one, 6 the other. Do we have the money to, what's it going to cost to get it done professionally?
As I said, about 11 to 15,000 somewhere. We had an estimate of something just under 12,000, I think, last time, but it's been long enough that they'll probably up it a bit.
So we were well under the paving project, and this was part of the paving plan. So I'm wondering whether we want to just consider it as part of the paving plan and do it.
Yeah, we've certainly got the money. It's really just a question of what we want.
I would say if you're not going to slurry seal it, then get it done professionally, and we don't have to worry about it for another 5 years. We're not going to pave anything more for a while.
I hope so.
So finish it.
How about a double line? It means no passing. Nah, let's not bother. I just wondered if it was another $10 on top of the single line.
Double line. Not wide enough for a double line.
Right.
I think if people just stay on the side of the line, we'll be doing
great.
Drivers have been really brutal lately.
Yeah, we have that one section there where I think we're going to hear about that, but where Wynn's project is going on, there's going to be enough messiness there for a while. We maybe not want to put a stripe in there until that's done.
For sure.
Well, by the time we get the people out and do it, it may be done.
Yes, right. How many times have we said it's going to be done next week?
I don't know.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right?
So do we want to make a motion to do striping when the construction at Lower Russell, Santa Maria is completed? Or do we want to take it up after it's complete?
I'll move that we do that, and furthermore, I'll go circle back to the striping company and see what their take on things is at the moment, and how soon they can get to it, and what they're going to charge for us now.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
There you go.
So the motion on the table is to do professional striping. We have a bid right now, which was somewhere upwards of $15,000. We're going to refine that bid and in the meantime, consider the construction along Santa Maria to make sure that that's done at the time the striping can be done.
Yeah, my recollection of this bid was more like 12,000. I'm rounding up to 15 in the estimation that.
Well, there was a contingency because they also said that that they would charge for each day they had to come out. So we were assuming that it was a 1-day visit, but if it was a 2-day visit, it would have been more than the 12,000. So I think your 15,000 is taking that into consideration.
Can you turn off the screen sharing?
Yeah, sure.
At any rate, we just need to vote now, I think.
Yes.
So the motion was just, as I recall, was just to proceed with learning as far as we can with the professional striping.
Mm-hmm. And there was a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. I'm looking for the screen sharing thingy. I'm sorry. I'm not as facile with this stuff as perhaps I should be. I know it's somewhere. You'll have to bear with me for a minute. Oh, here it is. Stop share. It's right in front of my nose. It was just on a different screen. I have 3 screens. It's a little confusing. Okay. Drains, berms. Is there anything more with drains and berms that we need to discuss other than what we've just discussed with the berm that we're going to be taking out and the drains? I'm not aware of anything right now. We have no feedback from the group that was talking about the drainage issue along Santa Maria and down to Portola Road. If you recall, there was a group meeting about joint responsibilities with Woodside, Highlands, Wayside, individual homeowners, and that group has not met since the first meeting. So there's been no feedback. Okay, follow-up activities. Since Kristen and Klaus have been very nice and sitting here, do you want to talk to us about the proposal that you had sent to us about the deeper swale along Trinity?
Yeah.
Yeah, since Trinity Trinity Road has been since the asphalt has been increased, it builds up, and then it creates but it's not built up to the edge, so it creates a wider swale and a more narrow road. So in some places the road is less than 9 feet wide. And the swales in some places are up to 2.5 feet wide, actually. The swales are. And then in some places, the swales are 1 foot or up to 1.5 foot deep. Not in the entire road, but in some places. And the road is also curvy and windy. And so some drivers, personal vehicles and also delivery drivers, they hug the edge, where the swale is, because they don't want to go over the other side of the road. and sometimes it hits their mirror, or once in a while the tires have gotten into the swale actually. And there's some drivers, including delivery drivers, who are supposed to be professional, that they won't even come down. But also other just regular cars, some friends and some strangers, they don't even want to come down. And some cars we have had that have come all the way down, they've asked us to drive them out or back the car out even. Now, some drivers can handle it and it's okay, you know, but with all these delivery drivers from these different companies, you'd think they'd know how to do it, and even some of them are having problems with it. So the request is just to make the swale higher and the edge of the road a little wider with the asphalt, you know, so that it's safer to drive. Yeah, and that's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what Klaus is referring to is that there's been a layer of asphalt. The last time that John Boyce did the road, he did it like a layer topping onto Trinity. So it's really been in the last, I don't know, 10 or 15 years that the road has become like the shape of a trapezoid, where it's wide at the base and it's a little bit more narrow as it gets to toward the top. So the driving surface itself has decreased by at least 6 inches or a foot, and that's how the road has changed since I've purchased the property. So it you know, I know there's a concern, oh, what if there's water, we don't want to make that swale any more shallow because water might run off over to Wayside. Well, it never ran off when the swale was more shallow. The only reason why the swale is as deep as it is right now is because that extra layer of asphalt that, you know, which honestly I did not request the whole Trinity Lane to be paved, but somebody decided to do it. You know, that layer brought the Trinity Lane up much higher so that the swales are much deeper and that the driving surface is more narrow. And it's also because it's steep that it's hard for people to come down the lane in the curve with a narrow road. And then they're often in the situation of backing out around the curve and up a hill. And that's why we're getting people at our door, complete strangers, knocking on our door, asking us to get into their car and drive them out. It is a liability for us to drive somebody else's car. And it's also neighbors, friends. It was Steve and Denise's friends that just didn't realize. And that's how we came up with the no turnaround sign. But that only works when you're first arriving on Trinity Lane. There's no sign at Steve and Denise's house, which would be another idea to say no turnaround. But it is a very difficult road to drive in the dark, in the rain, without, you know, with the width of the road. And so I'm concerned that 9 feet is really not that wide. And it could either be that the downhill side of the road, you add another foot of paving on the downhill side. The reason why you're hugging the wall is because you don't want to lose a tire on the downhill side and fall to your death, or worse yet, maimed, you know, TBI. Working in a hospital a little too long to see enough of that. So that's the concern for us. That we've seen, you know, a number of people with substantial damage to their vehicles. I had a contractor who said it was 10 grand on his vehicle, because once you catch a tire into such a deep groove, it's like getting a bicycle tire into a railroad track. The whole vehicle yanks in and you scrape along the wall. I personally did this. I mean, I've lived here over 25 years, and every day I drive in and out, and sometimes multiple times, and I'm quite a good driver. And my father was an auto shop teacher and a driver's ed instructor. I kid you not. you know, so my first vehicle I drove was a motorhome towing a car on the freeway. I'm a very good driver. This isn't about being a bad driver. I know there's some comment to that. It's about the fact that it is dark at times, it's rainy at times, we're backing in and out at times, and that the road has gotten more and more difficult. And so I once caught an edge and I equally did 10 grand of damage to my car. And I was asked by my insurance company, how fast were you driving when this happened? And I said, 5 miles an hour. Just caught the edge and my whole vehicle just went boom in. So we're just asking, you know, if there can be a solution either to make the swale a little bit less shallow so that you can drive a little bit onto it, and that your tire does more shallow so that your tire doesn't fall into it and yank your car in, or on the other side to widen Trinity just a bit so that you're not so scared about falling over the edge. I think it is a real liability for our community. And I think, you know, health services like ambulances as we age, it could possibly be a problem for them coming for access as well.
Kristen, is there on the downhill side, the scary side that would go down to Wayside, is there any room to even add any pavement? Or
yeah, there is. Yeah, you could add a foot for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I actually, I'm not sure. I think in some places there may be, but not the whole way down. I think that might be an area for reflectors, you know, where we, you know, put those. I know, Frank, you're going to love this, but you know, those nice reflectors that delineate where the edge of the road is, so that when it is dark, when it is rainy, that there at least is a little bit more of a warning that, hey, this is where the edge of the road is.
Yeah, there is more room, and the way I know that is that, you know, as I described, the asphalt layer, the last asphalt layer didn't fully span the width of the current road, so it was built more like this. So even just expanding it out so that it's, you know, straight again, there's room. There is room for asphalt. You know, a reflector is nice for viewing, but it's not going to change the fact that you're, you know, driving and backing out of a windy, steep area. And sometimes even in the dark, it's very hard to back uphill. Not everybody has a backup camera, and it is curvy and steep at the same time. I don't know.
I'm sympathetic. I don't go down there for that reason.
Yeah.
I think it's,
I don't know if there is another one that's quite this difficult in the neighborhood.
Anybody have some thoughts, additional thoughts here?
Sounds like another pavement subcommittee meeting on site is needed.
So that's our trustee Frank and George and Matt.
It sounds like they need some pavement added to the swale too, to make it less shallow so they don't get pulled in there. That sounds
less deep.
Less deep.
The problem is it's too deep, as I understand it, not too shallow, correct?
That's what I'm saying, to fill it in with asphalt a little bit so their tires don't get pulled into it and scrape the side of their car.
Well, that's
it sounds like. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, it sounds like that they need asphalt down, you know, to make the swell less deep, more shallow all the way down. You can see it's easy to get caught in that. That seems like it would go a long ways towards solving the problem.
You know what, it'd be interesting to know, of course, we can't do it now, it's dry weather. It'd be interesting to know how deep the water, you know, you've ever seen like 6 inches in that. So if the thing's 12 inches deep, you don't need 12 inches. You know, what do you add? Maybe play it safe. If the water, you think it'd be 6 inches deep, give it 7 inches depth and raise it up, and then sculpt it so that you're at the same time, here's the bottom, and then you come up to the top and you round it so that it's more toward the wall, closer to the wall. So you could, you know, improve both situations at the same time.
Make it easier to drive out of.
What's
you
that?
are all welcome to come down and drive tonight in the dark and back out and try it, because it is its own challenge.
Give it a
Oh, you're right. I've done it. It's not fun.
No. Did you used to have a sign up, and maybe I wasn't there, somebody said you can't have that sign that said whatever your address is, 176 only. And so in other words, don't go, not going to your house, don't go down here.
Yeah, we used to have that, and Richard Crevelt accused us of
he's gone.
Yeah, he's just, we took it down. Oh, yeah, we took it down at that point.
Put it back up. That would have been quite a number of people. But yeah, so 136 only, is that it? 136?
Yeah.
Only, no turnaround or something like that.
We can put that on the telephone pole. Isn't that where that would go? The one.
Oh, that's what also happened. We did put it back up after because it used to say private drive, which wasn't true. We never made these signs. The DRAS did. We were forbidden to put it on the telephone pole by the telephone company.
Right.
Yeah, they haven't been around enforcing any of that for sure.
They did, they went after
made you guys take down. Anyway, I'm all in favor of reshaping that swale, that ditch, to make it more shallow and a little bit, rounded on the edge, so there's more, maybe another couple inches for tires, just to help people not go into it. Maybe the same technique we use down here to repair what Bay Area. I wouldn't hire Bay Area paving to do it for sure. No way.
I think we need to get the paving subcommittee to be on site during the next month's rain.
Yeah, so that's what I wrote down. Follow-up is going to be Frank, Matt, and George to take a look and see whether we can do some improvements. And if you want a sign, we can put a sign up, only, or to your address, or only to whatever you think would be more effective than what's there now, which is no sign. We have the no outlet at the front of Santa Maria and Trinity. But if you want another sign somewhere downstream, we can add one.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's helpful for all the wanderers that land there. It's not helpful for the people that we do need.
Sure.
To come down. As an aside, Woodside Fire Department, for example, will not drive to our house, not even with the chipper on chipper days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a concern for us, because we're, as well as should be for the whole community, we're trying to clear our property to be less of a fire hazard, but we can't get chipping services. And this is something that I've fought for 2 decades. But they said they can't back a chipper down the lane. It's too hard for them. And so it makes it, even for us to trim our own trees, we had to pay a huge extra cost. So we become more of a fire hazard, which is a hazard to the community. And then I do think we need to really consider the fact that any random driver could go over the edge, and it could be a big liability. We should probably consider the liability of this problem as well.
So Tim, you're our master sign maker. Do you have a sense of what you think might be effective in terms of a sign midway down Trinity? Not just the no outlet, but something else? Do you have some ideas?
Sure, like only one address down there, so it's almost like a private drive, or maybe just their address only from there on, or I don't know, but I will make any sign that we could come up with a verbiage for.
Do you feel comfortable working with Klaus and Kristen on wording for a sign?
Sure.
We can try it. If it doesn't work, we can take it down, but they're not terribly expensive. And maybe that's, just one step towards a better solution for them.
Happy to work with them with it.
Yeah, where might that be located then? Not on the telephone pole, right?
Well, we can stick a metal pole
stake into the ground. Huh?
Ground. That's
we could
pound it in like a fence post.
Yeah, just say two, just say 130, number 136 only.
Right.
No
like
turnaround.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One sign.
Big red stop on it.
Yeah.
I mean, really more
Ancient.
Pass
yeah,
at your peril.
yeah, 136 only. Yeah, we can, Tim, we can discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
About a skull and crossbones on it.
Okay, so
And we'll
You've
never
got-
get anybody to deliver.
you've got some
No
follow-up.
turnaround aspect. Right?
All right, you have follow-up. You've got Frank and the paving subcommittee going to come over and take a look at the swale. You've got Tim working with you on the sign, and you want the reflectors? We can order some reflectors for the edge of the road.
Why don't we wait and see what the paving committee suggests, because it could be that they want to actually widen on that side rather than
I know, but that's, I mean, they can be pulled out. I mean, that's not a in the interim. Anyway, your choice.
okay. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, you mean the reflectors on stakes?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
shoved
so.
into
Maybe a few of those, yeah.
Sure.
Frank's favorite item that we've I think they work great. I personally, but we have a difference of opinion. We don't all have to agree.
As long as they stay parallel, none of this stuff, like.
So is that a yes or a no for the?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. Should we officially allocate some funds for this?
Yes, please.
$10? How much?
They weren't very expensive. What were they? $25?
No, they're like $6 a piece or something like that.
Okay.
That's no question about how many you need, but also that Tim is going to incur some expenses trying to make some signs, things like that.
Okay, so why don't we allocate $100, and if we need more, we'll come back. So
Sure.
I move that we allocate $100 for some minor improvements to the roadway along Trinity, and as a first step.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. $100. Okay. Follow up, visibility, driveway visibility. 20 Russell.
That's been resolved. He put a mirror up on a tree.
Okay, that's right. There were some issues of the vines coming out into the road. Right. And they're on your tree, Bill. Is that okay?
It's not on my tree.
It's not on
my
your
property doesn't go out that far.
Okay.
I believe it's the roadway right away. Also, it's not complete. The Ramesh, I just put I bungee corded a little old mirror I had up there. Ramesh is going to get a bigger one, and we'll put it in on a fence post or something.
Yeah, it looks fine. I mean, if that's gonna be what gives him some safety, that's great. So that one's a done.
It's out of our hands, I think, or out of the committee's.
Out of our hands. Okay. Retaining wall on Tynan resident 139 Russell, attached request. That's the Fowler request. So we received a request from Michael Fowler that since the paving company cut into the hillside, he's seen some dirt dropping into the swale, and he's concerned that the hillside will come down, and he has gotten a bid. He's actually got two bids, one from a contractor and then another one from Bruce, for putting a small, somewhere between 2 and 4 feet retaining wall along that area to keep the dirt from coming down and into the swale, and hopefully preventing is most concerned about his fence, as I understand it, which is quite a ways up the hill, from falling down.
Is this new retaining wall going to be in the right of way?
It is definitely in the right of way.
So that means it's a duty and the responsibility of the road maintenance district to put it up and pay for it. If it's in the right of way.
If it's needed. We have a lot of embankments that are cut
unprotected.
It depends, you know, on whether anything is going to just get ivy or weeds or something growing on it. I don't know how much of a cut and how much dirt is scraped in 4 feet or something. I haven't been up there yet.
I would want to let's see how it survives the next winter. And if it needs something, do something after then. Sure.
They've just disturbed the gophers and they're just pushing the dirt out.
They'll get bored after a little while.
There's one little area where there seems to be a rather active gopher. The rest of the area seems clear. I haven't seen any great erosion coming down. When Bruce first looked at it, he said, wait and see. And then when he came around again, he said, well, that gopher really is, you know, it was going to have to be, you know, kind of maintained because there is dirt now coming into the swale, and maybe it makes some sense. So he built his quote on he says 5,500 or 3 times that for the entire wall. So it would be somewhere over $15,000 if we chose to do an entire wall along that piece of Russell Tynan. And he said it should be 2 feet high, 4x6 posts set in concrete, 3 feet deep minimum, and 5 feet apart. I think that's overkill personally. I mean, I walk past that every day. It's hanging in there, and as Jean said, we have a lot of areas that are very much that way. I mean, if you look at where Rose's house is, Rose Wasserman, there's a big dirt wall that seems to hang in there pretty well.
Same thing, sure.
Yeah, same thing. So I mean, if we look around our neighborhood, we've got a lot of areas with, you know, kind of dirt coming into a swale. And all we ask is that the residents maintain that swale so that the dirt doesn't continually go down the drain.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They could, if worse comes to worse, we could buy some rope netting, you know, like they have in certain areas that, you know, catch the dirt and allow cute, lovable things to grow in it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's worth putting some of that in now?
No.
Okay.
We'll see how it works, see how it goes.
Okay.
Most of the dirt up that way, that part of the Highlands, is labeled stable bedrock. It really means sandstone. And it's much more, it's about clayish, as opposed to the crumbly stuff that we have down here in the potential deep landslides part of the Highlands. So yeah, the part along Rose's house is pretty much of an example of how well it holds its up. I don't know.
Anybody else have any thoughts? So wait and see. Okay. Okay. Retaining wall for Russell, that's Wynn. I've had communication with her today, and I think I sent you her comment to me, which we got at 6 o'clock. So I don't expect any of you to know what she said, but she's working on the wall. They've got a permit. The permit, what the town has asked her to do is work with an inspector from geoforensics who comes every 2 feet, examines what they've done, gives them, I guess, either the red light or the green light, and then they do another 2 feet, and then geoforensics comes and takes a look at what they're doing. And then at the end of the project, the town will actually do the inspection and give them approval, or they'll have to do something different. But so far what the town has done is delegated the ongoing monitoring of the reconstruction of the rock wall to geoforensics. I asked her specifically whether she was coming to us with any request for specific funds, and she said not at this time. She would like us to participate, and that's all she said.
I wouldn't spend a penny on that whole thing for starters, unless we know there's going to be a change in the drainage all over that property. Because it was caused by water behind the wall. And what, are we just going to let it happen again? I don't know. Is there anything about drainage on the property in the plan, or just put the wall back up?
No, I believe that there is actually a drainage plan as part of the reconstruction. Bill, do you remember seeing that?
Yeah, and it's not being done the way it shows on the plan, so we shall see what they do. But they've uncovered the steel, the old existing steel drain pipe that's down there. And they've dug a ditch along the backside of the house, which I think they had 4 drain lines of various sizes and various things coming out the back of the house. But there's supposed to be a drain line coming from her parking area down the side of the house, collecting the various drains as it goes. And then it's supposed to empty down into something that it's not noted on the plan. They might try and poke a hole through that, the existing drain, but I thought they should put a bubble box in there and let it run on the ground. But they've already put 2 4-inch pipes from her parking area they've stuck through that's going to empty out onto the wall at a higher place. So I don't know whether they'll get caught or not, or they're, the other guy will sign it off. I mean, outside inspectors, it's up to their discretion. So I don't know what they'll do.
What's happened up there is there used to be a huge parking area, asphalt, and apparently it was landscaped over it. So in other words, dirt was brought in and all that. So any irrigation is going to go down through the dirt, hit the asphalt, and go down to that spot, which is a low spot on the property. So
apparently there's a big PVC pipe that comes out and will drop water onto the swale on the side of the road. And then also as Bill pointed out, they're cutting the pipe down below that, which empties into the grate, which then goes under the street and over to our property. And they plan to, according to Wynn, they plan to tap into that spot and put a pipe coming from her house down into that into a Y junction in that pipe. So all the water will flow down into that grate and then down across our property.
Down to where the people are complaining about water coming from our maintenance district.
Now, although that's a bunch of nonsense, frankly, but yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's more water, more trouble down below. I don't know. It just seems like also gray water systems, I don't know. Some people have them. You're supposed to have backflow, anti-backflow, whatever, to do them properly or legally or whatever. That stuff can't be pouring down the road. The soap suds can't be pouring down the road. That's illegal. So I don't know.
I don't know what else is going into that pipe.
It just seems like drainage was a huge issue, and to just go build a wall back up again without really dealing with some drainage changes, like getting the drainage if there's stuff high enough to go around the curve above and down around the road in a ditch, a proper ditch the whole way, instead of just either letting it pile up behind a wall. And now that wall is going to be an engineered type with rebar and all that, I take it, right? Like the concrete.
There's no rebar in it.
No. There's no rebar.
What?
The description says that they're going to insert mirror grid. I'm not sure what that is. Do you know, Bill?
It's a mesh. It's actually a mesh cloth, has metal fibers in it, which is supposed to keep it all. They're supposed to do it in layers. I think I don't know what's going to hold back, a single layer of rock, but they seem to. It's got an engineer's stamp on it, so maybe that's what we go by if we're building something. If the engineer says do this, we have to do it. So, obviously somebody's taken the responsibility for it. But the I don't believe the drainage as is proposed on the plan is being done because they're not finished yet, so I shouldn't say anything. It's they've got the run going down the back of the house down to the street, and that needs to be done. But then there's supposed to be another drain line from the parking area down along the side of the house that ties into that.
Just my 2 cents worth. That's a very small lot, and you can't dump enough rainwater on it to cause much of a problem downhill. I mean, compared to our lot, you can put lots of water on our house, on our lot, and that's what frequently happens. If we get an inch of rain and falling on our property, it's all going to go downhill to those people that are objecting. That's just the lay of the land.
Water does flow downhill.
That's right.
Is there anything that you feel is appropriate for us to feed back to the resident?
They have, well, it's out of, they've got a permit to do what they're doing. So it's supposed to be done in that way. They have inspectors that are supposed to inspect it and follow those guidelines. If the turns upon the outside inspection group, if it's not done correctly, and if the wall falls down again, it's not our doing.
Right.
At some point, we have to kind of depend on people who are supposedly experts to actually be experts, right?
Okay. Do we have anything else to discuss on that particular property? Okay. Those were our follow-ups. Fall road cleanup day, dates, gardeners, and others. So first, we had a conversation about, do we want to continue with gardeners? So that cost us, God, I just showed you the number. I have to go back to the number.
1,500 or something for 2 days.
Something like that. No, the dumpsters were 1,500. The labor was 2,000.
Do we know how many man hours that actually was? I mean, that sounds like a lot of money to me for what, 2 days?
No, that was the budget. I'm sorry. The actual was 1,900 for the manpower.
What was that, 2 days?
It was 2 days.
How many?
We had at least two people working 2 full days, and it was pouring rain. So it was pretty nasty. It was terrible.
But that was the price anyway. That
was the price. Yeah, but that was it was an increase. Last year was a big increase from the year before. I think the year before was something to the tune of $1,500. And then we decided that we would do it.
I was just out of curiosity. I mean, I was thinking when you hire gardeners, there were 2 men for 2 days. That's 32 man hours, maybe, let's say, right? So you divide 2,000 by, what did I just say? 32 anyway.
32.
What do we get paying per hour per man?
Probably $25 an hour. So that's $800. So we're paying a premium.
Oh, that's not much. 25 an hour is not much.
Well, you can't do any better by driving down to Redwood City and picking people up off the street.
Well, the only thing we can say is that they've been very reliable. They've been agreeable, reliable. They show up, they do the work. We haven't had any complaints with them missing places. They know that it's an awkward place to work. People are flying by and they're standing in the middle of the road with a wheelbarrow. So I'm just grateful that there hasn't been any harm to them.
Right.
And I don't think we're going to get people to volunteer to pick up my personal view is I mean, we have so much trouble getting anybody to get out to do anything that I don't think we're going to get anybody to come out and pick up. I know George felt that we really shouldn't hire the gardeners the last time we did it.
It used to be a community get-together thing that pulled us all together and made us feel good. And I'd certainly like to see that again, but if there's nobody willing to do it, that's a problem.
Well, I think
ugly faces all the time.
The people who are willing to do it are unfortunately aging up and aging out. And I don't see anybody in the younger realm of things stepping in. I just don't see anybody. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I haven't seen them. Yeah, I don't even see them offering any volunteerism for anything. And we ask all the time, hey, come in, we throw it out and we get nobody. And Kristen knows how difficult it is getting people to volunteer. She just went through a whole song and dance trying to get, the WIA board filled.
Agreed, that's true.
They'll be sorry. You wait. We're not going out there anymore. The whole place will fall apart and they'll be sorry. It's a new world. It's a new world.
Tim, do you have an opinion? I mean, you've always been great. Oh my goodness. We have pictures of you in drains with your feet hanging up. So, what do you think?
I would like to see it continue, but I think you're right. There's no volunteers. And Frank and I are getting a little old to be throwing those logs into those dumpsters.
Annalise, are you going to volunteer?
It's my opinion that we now have money. We spend that money on all kinds of things in our own homes. We are happy and we will be happy to spend that money on doing proper road cleanup, but it's never been presented. The idea that I'm supposed to go out and do labor because somebody wants a party is ridiculous to me. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, here we have another opinion. Okay, so date for we still, I'm assuming that we still want to do a full road cleanup. We still want residents to clean out their culverts, and even if they don't do it, their gardeners need to, clean them up and get the frontage and all the
Yes, we absolutely do.
So
especially with fire problems coming up, we're going to need to do a lot of cleaning this year.
So we were looking at dates, and let's see, we need a weekend. We need it after October 7th. We need it probably before Halloween.
And always rains on Halloween.
So
hopefully.
And I would think that Columbus Day would not be a good weekend to do it, nor would the Yom Kippur weekend be a good weekend to do it. So it looks like the 19th and 20th of October.
Looks good.
Okay. Do we want to do an after cleanup party on the 20th?
Good.
We can ask for a volunteer. And if we don't get anybody, I'm happy to host a cocktail party. That worked out pretty well. We did that one year. I don't even remember whether it was spring or fall or whenever it was. And we just did hors d'oeuvres. We didn't do a whole big eat and everything, but we did cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and that provided some community hoo-ha.
Absolutely.
So that would be on the 20th. Okay, cool. All right. Anything else on fall road cleanup? Okay, the only other thing is a reappointment.
One quick thing. The neighborhood's pretty much being taken over by blackberries. It's just one of these ecological things that happen. And they're so nasty. I think it's time we have to hire some for the big drainage swales that go across properties and all that. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for us to do with those terrible blackberry vines. So I think we're going to need to spend a little money to hire people to do that nasty stuff.
Would you be willing to solicit bids from a couple of gardening services to
we have this guy, Freddie, who does poison oak even, and there's a lot of poison oak mixed in too. It's sprouting out everywhere. Mm-hmm. And he works for, I think it was 300 a full day. So what is that divided by $50 an hour or something like that? I pay my gardener 50 an hour. I mean, I don't know how many people do, but if you want somebody good.
Well, we have, so what I'm asking for you is to define the areas that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. this to there and this to there, estimate how many days of a gardener it would take to clean out those areas, and then how much it would cost, and then just bring it back to us.
Okay.
And if you think it needs to be done sooner rather than later, then gather the information and then just send it out as an email to us.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. I don't think anyone's going to fight. I think it's just we don't know what it is. It's a blank, it's a blank right now. And I understand that there are some areas, but there may be other areas that people are noting that maybe there could be some other areas that we'd want to put on the list. Okay. Anything else? Reappointment to the committee. I just want to remind everybody that you're not a life appointee, and that this is a labor of love, and we love you all. And if you choose to just roll over to the next year, that's great. But I just wanted to heighten that our appointments run January to December, but there's really no official anything, but it is a yearly appointment, and at some point the town does something and kind of just re-ups. You're not a slave.
Will the town require something of us at some point? We have to be appointed by the town effectively, right?
Well, no, we're actually appointed by the town manager. We're a town manager committee at this point because there was a change in delineation of committees at the town, and so we're a town manager committee, so that appointments are done by the town manager. So what would happen, for example, is if someone said to me, I don't want to serve past December, we'd have an opening, and then we'd go to the town manager and say, we have an opening, what is the process you want to do? And I think there's some process that, to be honest, I'm not sure what it is, because it's a new structure. And the town manager would come back to us and say, this is what I want to do, X, Y, or Z. So it would only be reported to the town council as a town manager action. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Good. Okay.
I have a short question on that.
Yeah.
Does that mean the town manager can now look at everything we're doing and evaluate what if, as a town manager, how he would prioritize taking care of the area?
No.
Can we tap into his expertise directly?
Oh, we absolutely can tap into his expertise, but he doesn't set priorities for the road maintenance district. He's just a reporting mechanism. He's not a manage the process, if that makes sense. We manage ourselves. We do what we do. If there is a complaint about the way we're doing our function, the complaint would go to him, and then I suppose he would have to figure out a way of figuring out how he would assess the complaint. But it doesn't.
The reason I bring it up is that legally we were appointed as a committee to the town, and that we have a list of how we need to operate. We have a charter. Mm-hmm. Are we going to still have that in the new structure?
We have the same charter. It's just a reporting mechanism. That's all. The only thing that changed was the appointment and reporting structure. Nothing else has changed. So whatever was in that original charter of this is the Woodside Highland Road Maintenance District Resident Advisory Committee, all of that is still the same.
Thank you.
Except that the appointment for members goes to the town manager, and our minutes go through the town manager. And if there's something that we want the town to do, it would be him to figure out how to get it done if we needed something from them.
So he's the one that accepts recommendations for who should be on the committee?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Anything else? That's my understanding. It's never. I mean, this is a new thing. We've been doing this now for Well, we've been doing the committee for 4 years, and the change to a town manager committee took place maybe 6-9 months ago, something like that. I reported it at the time. I don't remember the exact date. Could have been as long as a year ago. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Anybody?
I move.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. 7:36. Very good. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Appreciate all of your time and attention and help for the road maintenance system.
Thank you, Teresa.
Have a good day. Have a good day. Bye.
You as well.
Bye.
All right.